Hello and welcome. I'm Bob Campbell and this is The Real Review. With me today is Warren Gibson, Chief Winemaker at Trinity Hill, the Hawke's Bay winery, quite a distinguished Hawke's Bay winery, if I can put it like that. And our featured wine today is their benchmark, Syrah, Homage Syrah. Warren, has the winemaking methods, like Syrah dates back, what was the first vintage? It was about 2004 or something like that?
Yeah, it does sometimes feel a bit like that, Bob. No, 2002, it was the first vintage of Homage.
The first one I've tried is 2004, so I missed the boat, yeah.
So, yeah, and initially it was a wine that we made only in the years we felt it was absolutely justified, which is still the case, although we've got our hit rate since 2013 has essentially been every year. So between 2002 and 2012, we probably missed 4 or maybe even 5 vintages, just as we were getting to know our own vines and, yeah, just being comfortable with that sort of flagship style, super premium style and wine, and pricing and making sure that we were comfortable with the product. But yeah, now we have a lot more ammunition in the vineyard and the winery and vine age and winemaker age and everything.
and the 2018 included 4% of Viognier. Has that always been the case, or does that change from vintage to vintage?
Yeah, it's certainly not a recipe, Bob. So I think most people would understand sort of the high end of Syrah and the Northern Rhone, and certainly Australia went down this Syrah Viognier path, 15, 20 years ago. And yeah, I think for us, it's a bit like the salt and pepper in the, in the blend. It's not necessarily an absolute must, and we don't want it to be the focal point of the wine. It's a sort of an aside that if it works, it works. If the timing with vintage or the picking of the Viognier for co-fermentation isn't suitable, then it's not like we have to do it. It's kind of something that might present itself during harvest. And I think, yes, some notes we've had together, maybe this style of co-fermenting Viognier has gone out of favour with some. I guess their theory is that perhaps it's obscuring the beauty of Syrah. We actually think when it's done carefully, judiciously, that it just adds a little aromatic twist to the wine, and we're not really expecting much more than just a nuance from the aromatics of the skins. So we actually ferment the juice from Viognier for our white wine, and then integrate the skins into one of the red fermentations if we can. So it's not a massive part of our program, but we like it if we can include it.
Thanks for that. Do you have a favourite Homage vintage?
We sort of say sometimes it's a bit like your kids. It's hard to choose one, but more Homage vintages than kids, so there's a few more options. Listen, I always loved the 2002, but it's been, now we look back and it's certainly aged beautifully. It's still a relatively young wine. I think maybe your first is always one of the best if you think you've done well with it. So the 02 has always been a favourite, and there are not many bottles left these days, Bob. So if you know anybody with some 2002, we'll probably do a buyback.
I've never tried it.
The 06 it ended up, if you believe in wine shows, ended up winning the wine of the show at the New Zealand Wine Awards. I think would have been 2007. So quite a structured, bigger wine. I remember Steve Smith, who was the chair of judges, calling it the iron fist and the velvet glove, for that sort of slightly cliched term. But yeah, so got that control power. 10 has always been so there's a 4-year gap coming here. So 10 has always been a favourite, lovely, lighter on its feet, floral and sort of black olive, violets, more of that real Northern Rhone feel, which we sort of really want to try and encapsulate as we move further down the path with our evolution.
The trio of vintages that Hawke's Bay's just enjoyed, and I say enjoyed in a very positive way, the 19, 20, 21. Do you have a favourite of those three?
No, I don't actually. And obviously the 20 and 21, we're just actually blending the 20 today. Just sort of came out of that in the cellar today. The 19 has been in the bottle for a year, and the 21 obviously is very young. So no, I'm not sure I can give you a favourite on that. I think if we look at the raw vintage might suggest that 20 is the better of the three for Hawke's Bay, not just for Syrah, but perhaps for the Cabernet family as well. And then 21 was very early, but cooler, so fantastic for Syrah. So I think the jury's still out, Bob. I think we'll just say it's the line ball between 19, 20 and 21. I wouldn't like to call it right now until we actually get them into the bottle. And I think, yeah, we're arguing small margins here with those three vintages.
When you're not drinking Syrah, what's your second choice?
It's normally Chardonnay, to be perfectly honest. And I think there's some amazing Chardonnay being made in both Hawke's Bay and the rest of New Zealand. And as you know, with Burgundy and even, the high end of Australian Chardonnay, Californian Chardonnay, getting pretty pricey. I actually think we do a very good job of making wine that is delicious. And apart from our own benefits in terms of our staff pricing and swaps with other wineries, I think New Zealand Chardonnay is in a great place, and I drink mostly New Zealand Chardonnay as a proportion of anything else.
Well, thanks, Warren. That's about all we've got time for today, I'm afraid. But thanks for joining us today, and good luck with the upcoming vintage just around the corner, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Listen, we often get a bit nervous about sort of humidity and rain at this time of the year, which we've certainly had this year, so quite different to maybe the last years. But it'll be February and March that'll be the game changer. So we're not, providing we can keep our canopies clean and healthy, there's a good average to good crop out there, and it'll be interesting to see how the climate goes and past the Horizon in February and March. But we've had 3 or 4 great vintages in a row, so there's always that feeling that it's more likely to be a more challenging vintage. But let's just wait and see.
Great, thank you very much.
No worries, Bob. Good
Cheers.
talking.